Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. School shootings. It happened this week, and it's going to happen next week. So screw it. We're not going to talk about it. We've done 35 episodes about it, so blah, 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 look it up. Instead, let's talk about our families. Our family's personal Armageddon. Jean Carolyn Davis Lawrence. Grandma Jean passed away at the young age of 89. She passed peacefully, surrounded by family and friends in the chair that gave her thousands of hours of joy, watching Hallmark Christmas movies and trying to figure out if Jessica Fletcher is going to catch another murderer in Cabot Cove. Jesus Christ, Cabot Cove was a haven for murderers. You'd think they would have had like more cops instead of just this one old lady finding all the bad guys. But let's talk about this old lady, my grandma. Now, I was not related to this little bundle of Hummel-sized joy and positivity, but she adopted me because I never had a grandma. Well, okay, but that's not exactly true. I mean, I had a lady that gave birth to my dad, but she didn't hug or bake cookies. In fact, Grandma Titus had her grandma card revoked by the Grandma Union, and she petitioned for it. But Grandma Jean, this lovely woman, was a wonder to me. Whenever I saw her again, I would just light up. Her energy and her pure love were the antidote for a world that no longer possessed the grace and humanity that she walked the world with every minute of every day. She was a believer, a Christian, but not preachy about it. She held her faith close, but didn't judge you if you didn't. She didn't talk it, she walked it. She helped everyone in her community. She took care of her neighbors. If they got sick, she would bring them country fried steak, mashed potatoes, and chocolate almond pie. You know, that Southern medicine that would cure your cold and clog your arteries. She was delivering meals on wheels to the elderly when she herself was 89, and the elderly were in their 70s. And she showed up. She stood up in the face of any problem or need. She was an amazing example of who we all need to be. And she was funny. Damn, the only 2 times in my life I thought I was going to pass out from laughing was playing cards with this woman. I was laughing while she was kicking my ass at gin over and over. And she had a life, man. She was born in the Depression. She had a brother that died at 4. She married young. She had babies in her teens. She didn't finish high school, but got a GED, took accounting, and then became the first female head accountant for the entire Cherry Point Marine Base. She was married to her husband, Bobby, for 57 years until he died. However, she continued to count the years after he died. She didn't believe in death do us part. He was her forever person, her endless Valentine. She was one of the sweetest, most interesting people I've ever met. She taught me, don't borrow trouble, or tomorrow's always a new day. You know, people in our lives get older and we kind of see them as grandma or grandpa. They're kind of useless. You know, someone we see maybe on Thanksgiving or Christmas, and, you know, or we get a birthday card from them with a $5 bill in it. And that's all we know or care to know about these people. But those people were young and hot once. They did crazy things that would make the crew from Jackass blush. They fought wars. They faced racism, sexism, and changed their minds about both. They went from the start of radio and airplanes. They dealt with nukes to a phone supercomputer in their pockets. So stop being a dick when they call you because they forgot their password. Help them. Talk to them, learn from them, be with them. Grandma Jean never got old because she saw every day as new. And we saw her as a wonder, a badass and ageless. And I love you, Grandma. Thank you. I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. Let's motor!
Good morning to you. Good morning to you. We're all in our places with sunshiny faces. And how do you do? Good morning to you.
Everybody, Christopher Titus, Titus Podcast. How you doing with me? Not as always, but she is back, ladies and gentlemen. Bombshell Rae.
What's up, people?
And the Hylinder.
There could be only one. I'm still here.
Always, constantly. We can't get away from each other. We're together constantly. It's nonstop. It never ends. We're here every day. Of course, thank God I come in late, but I don't come in late because I'm avoiding you. I swear.
I think it's
Anyway.
You look less furry since I last saw you.
Well, first he was it was here. It crossed getting strip search in the airport line.
I'm desperate.
It really
I'm like
is.
always looking for an up. I talked to my friend Shauna last night, your buddy's Tony's wife, and she had knee surgery while I was gone. And she's told me last night that her lower leg is tiny. And I said, please, because she hasn't been able to use it. It's been in a cast. And I was like, please tell me that it's like obviously noticeably tiny compared to your other leg. I really need something positive in my life. And she goes, well, it's about 3.5 inches smaller than my knee. And I was like, okay, that'll work. I can work with that.
God bless us, everyone.
Tiny Tim. That's what I'm going to call her.
If you've ever been in a cast and you take it off, oh my God.
It's weird. It's wrong.
Yeah, it's like your leg is a stick.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. So you shaved your hair up. You look younger probably than I've ever seen you look.
Really? Then I've trimmed it like this before.
You look younger than 90, which is...
What is that about? We said, wow, she really is back. She came back hard and bitter from losing grandma. Okay, well, that's where we're going to go now. Some people go the other way. They love the world more. Some people are like, you know what? Screw the world. The world doesn't care about me.
My favorites are gone. Fuck everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Especially the people that we thought were favorites.
Oh, no.
Oh, see?
No.
Right there.
No, you really think, wow, all the good ones are gone now. You're right.
Kicking the puppies.
You guys are great.
Oh, thanks.
Wow, that was
you guys are great.
Felt a little forced.
No, I think you guys.
It felt like to get out of this, get through the podcast. You guys are great. Let's
no,
just get through this.
You guys.
This episode is brought to you by.
That's what it felt like. It didn't feel love. I don't feel embraced. It was almost like being with Grandma Titus again.
You're good.
Liquid IV.
Again, you guys are good. Putin said today.
What's in there?
So Rae's back. Just so you know, getting her out of the house to do the podcast today was a bit of a chore. She is as we all should be when we lose someone love. I can't. I find myself with grandma crying randomly. I was thinking about it yesterday. I woke up and I was in bed and I thought, man, it's weird. I came home and we talk about her, and then I just thought, oh, I'm never going to see her again, and that blew me out again. Blew me out again. And so the Armageddon update was a tribute to her.
And done by you because I could not do it. You said maybe you should do. Oh no, you can't do this. And I was like,
I said the same thing. Yeah,
because I thought Ray was going to do that. I should go. Oh no, there's no way Ray's going to pull
you
this.
just said never see her again, and I'm like, I can't. So I am like, I got home. It was the longest 2 months of my life. I think even more so than Mom, because there were so many other things going on.
A lot of extra.
And without going into detail. And so took care of her, and that carries its own emotional stress, fight or flight, in the moment. I think I am not sure if I told you guys this, but like I got a call. I was on the phone with him at almost 1 a.m, and it was her, because I had made her keep her phone with her. You can't go anywhere without your phone. And she had fallen. And this is so unlike Grandma to be weak. I've never seen her weak because she motored, She worked out. She was going to the sports center. Yeah. For like in the last month and a half. Yeah. And would walk 1.2 miles in the neighborhood, and she was on the floor by the toilet shaking because she'd been fighting to get off the floor for so long. But the cancer had started, taking hold, and she was losing strength, and I had to get behind her. Thank God for Peloton. And I don't know why they don't advertise on this podcast. They said they don't do political podcasts, but here's your ad. I told my grandma, she goes, you can't lift me. You'll hurt your back. What about your back? Because I've been having back problems. That is who my grandma was, right? Let me worry about you while I'm on the floor dying. And I said, Grandma, I said this to her. I said, I've been using the Peloton for 1.5 years. I got you. My legs are strong.
What a great commercial.
Yeah, totally.
Grandma, I found I can't get up. It starts out like that commercial.
So I'm just saying, you guys missed your shot.
That's funny. I found I can't get up. Yeah, don't worry, Grandma. I got you. I use Peloton.
Well, she goes, I'm 155 pounds. And I go, I can deadlift 155 pounds. Well, what about your back? I go, I'm not going to use my back. I'm going to use my glutes. And so I got underneath her and I said, you ready? ready? I braced her, put a mat under her feet, and I said, you ready? I said, I need you to push down on your feet. And she goes, okay, no faith, right? And I got her up, so she came off the floor, dead weight off the floor so fast. She started going, whoa, 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 like that, like panicked. And so like those were the days and nights, right? And then we lost her, and then planning the funeral.
Oh man, it became
organizing everything around that, family coming in and everything.
But all throughout it, though, just to let you, like, so not only you were managing grandma, what was going on, you had family in and out all the time, and everyone else has. And the funny thing, losing a loved one, man, all of a sudden you're not just dealing with losing the loved one, you're dealing with everyone else's unresolved issues with that loved one that never got handled. That Ray didn't have any, I didn't have any.
Or not just that. I mean, not just that, but like you're dealing with people's capability or inability to deal with death.
Right.
And so I unfortunately have been through it and have watched it happen, and twice already. This is the third time. And so I'm it's not that I want to do it, but I'm courageous about it. I was thinking that the other day. I was doing a meditation and I was thinking, I don't compliment myself a lot, but the meditation was about courage. I am courageous. It's doing something even though you're afraid. And I was afraid, but I would not have left her side because she would not have left mine.
I was going to say, like her. That's funny when you say something like, I don't have mom, I don't have them anymore. And I go, no, you are them now. I go, you don't understand that you do all they would have done.
But I don't want to be.
It doesn't matter. I don't want to be my dad either. But I gotta, every time I'm working with Jet now, I'm like, well, how would dad do this? And then I don't do that.
I was gonna say WWKND. What would cannot do?
Not do. And him and I had it out this weekend, snowboarding. We
Don't
called it.
Share anything about it though.
No, I don't know. He called it a
verbal fist fight.
A verbal fist fight. He called it a verbal fist fight.
But in a good way with a good resolution.
We got a great resolution out of it, yeah.
Because you guys are able to communicate now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then the funeral, family coming in, and then like travel and all that stuff, and then the will, and then that
drama,
and then 1 week, my sister and I cleaned out the entire house, shuttled stuff to her favorite charity, called all of her close friends, and there were many, to see if there was something that was special to them, to get that to those people, and then garbage runs, and then getting the furniture to whoever wanted it. I mean, it was a whirlwind.
Was it like a yard sale? Like, do you have to tag things? Like, who wants what?
No, we let people come. We didn't put it out in the yard, but
I have a lot of family there, and so my cousins came over and they did tag what they wanted. What was left was set to go to the charity, and as of today the house is listed. I mean, we were like bam bam bam. I mean, it was crazy. And then I came home and now I'm like,
burnt.
I'm burnt and I'm sad.
Yeah.
So
because all that stuff, I'm with Dad's funeral, I remember all that stuff propped me up. Running the funeral and making sure everybody was taken care of. And David's losing it and Shannon losing it, and
you have to manage
keeping the family. So you have this kind of it's the chaos is a weird structure to keep you moving forward. And then once it's over, I remember just being like, oh my God.
And I knew that. Like, I knew I needed to get home because I needed to start. And she kept her things in my house. She always said she was bi-coastal. And so, like, just seeing those things, she and I were so close. Like, when I say she was my best friend, she was
not kidding.
Best friend.
Not kidding at all.
And that's why my comedy centered around her, still does. And this new show has a big story about her that she hated that I was telling the ending to, the couples massage story. And my travel, like whenever I wanted to travel somewhere, she and I did it together. I said this at her funeral, she had this way of coming up with something and then making you think it was your idea. And so you're like, okay. So after I lost mom, she knew like different holidays would be hard for me. So Thanksgiving, we should go to a spa. And I was like, yeah. And then I paid for it because she made me think that was my idea too. That was the first one. And then I took her to Portsmouth for another one. So we did different
She came out on
things.
Mother's Day.
So she started, that's what I said at her service. Like, this woman was so amazing because she sacrificed so much of herself to be there for me specifically. I know that. And I heard so many other people say the same thing. When I lost my mom, she decided that she was going to stand in that space and take the good and the bad and be whatever I needed. And she always said, if you need me, you call me, I'll be there. And so, like, for example, when my mom was in CTCA and my grandma was with me and she flew home, and
just so you know, so mom's in the hospital going through intensive testing. It's bad news after bad news. And then
all hell breaks loose. I tell this story in my show too, but she started vomiting and they couldn't get her to stop. And we didn't know why. My grandma, I figured it out, was 83 at that time. It's hard for me to travel now, like your joints and everything. 83. She landed. I called her. I couldn't breathe. I was trying to get my breath. Yeah. And she goes, what's going on? Do you need me? And I said, yes. And she said, let me wash my clothes. I'll be there tomorrow. And that's a long trip to where I'm from because it's in the middle of nowhere and you have to drive an hour to the airport. Right. And she came back.
Phoenix, North Carolina flight and then driving another hour.
2 flights, yeah.
Yeah.
And then she came back and I'll never forget her motoring up the hallway the next night, midnight, biggest smile on her face because that's who she was for me, you know? And so then she started coming out every Mother's Day and every Thanksgiving into the beginning of December to help me decorate for Christmas because I didn't want to do that when I lost my mom. And so, yeah, she was delivering Meals on Wheels to the old people at 88.
I mentioned that. Yeah.
She just stopped doing it. She turned 89 in October. She stopped at the beginning of October because she was diagnosed with cancer. And that's the only reason she stopped. And she would get back in the car and say, I think those old people are embarrassed, or those people are embarrassed because I'm so much older than they are. Because she was delivering to like 60 and 70 something year olds. Yeah. She was pretty incredible.
She was not just pretty incredible. The one thing I loved about Grandma is pure love. She was like, and she could also be harsh too. But she was never, even when she was harsh, she was never mean. She was just honest. She was impeccably honest to the point where you're like, you're right, but wow. Like the pastor said something. The pastor got up at her funeral and said she would come in and critique the sermon.
She didn't like something he said.
She'd go, I need to meet with you. Yeah. And she would go.
He said he knew when she walked into his office, and she would always do this with her little jacket. She'd cross it. He knew he was in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
She was so funny. Even in her service, this has been her pastor for a decade, and he was awesome. He did a great job. He made it funny like she deserved.
Yep.
But his name, I've now forgotten. It's John Harwood. In her funeral service plan that she put out, she put John Hargraves. And so he's like, you know, it's so Grandma, you know. She's...
You know, that John Hargraves. I love him. What else did she do? She did something else. He told another story where she came up. She came up and jammed him up about something else. But he was, you know, it's weird. So many times, one of my dad's funeral, other funerals I've been to, what happens is that the pastor, you're like, I don't know the person you're talking about. I get that you're saying nice things, but you're doing you're doing your bit.
Yeah.
This dude nailed Grandma. He was like, I knew Gene. Let me explain about Gene. It was really great. It was really great.
Before we spoke, he said, now I want to say that in no way do I or this church endorse anything that's about to come out of this pulpit. Rachel. He said Rachel. And then he goes, I saw your mama's funeral. Yeah. And I was like, what?
Big church too. It wasn't a little room. It was like a giant. I'm like, okay, wow. Hey, it's not me this time. That was good.
I wore a red leopard dress.
I was about to say this. So the one thing about Grandma is that Grandma always had this bright red. We have to tell this story. So Grandma would wear this bright red lipstick. She was always a little bit flashy at times. She would wear, if she was going out, she wore her red jacket. She
looked beautiful in red.
She's beautiful. So we were talking about. So it was like, I said, I'm not wearing a black suit to Grandma's funeral. I'm just not doing it. And that's when I called you because you had my suits and stuff, and you got the blue suit. So Ray's like, yeah, me either. And then her sister said, yeah, me either.
Shay had already said it. Then you said it to me, and I thought, okay.
So she orders. So thank God for Uncle Philip. She goes through, and of course, she picks up this red leopard print dress that is like skin tight and it's got sleeves on it. And
Uncle Philip
She
and
couldn't
Aunt
get it.
Julie went to New York City, Dolce and Gabbana, picked it up the day before they flew out and
because she couldn't
brought it to me.
because she couldn't get it sent to her.
got
They
it.
were coming to the funeral anyway.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to live longer. It happened very quickly once that final part started. And so I was there
day.
with like, Crocs. I don't,
Yeah, you said
but
okay.
basically sweatpants. It's all I took, sweatpants and tennis shoes. And so, yeah, my sister wore a tight red dress. My grandma always had red lips. And even at the end, she wore this stay all day called Forever Crimson red lipstick.
So we're in this line, the receiving line on the viewing day.
Well, I was going to say she wore it all the time. So when my sister and I dropped off her suit, because they do open coffin visitation thing there, which I hate, we took the suit and her necklaces, like the plastic beads she would have worn with
big
it,
giant pearl thing.
and her red lipstick. So
Because we were gonna let grandma be grandma, and so we get to the viewing and the casket's open, which, as I said about she looked great, by the way. They did a phenomenal job. But during my dad's funeral, one of the bit I talked about, I was like, how do we make this more horrifying?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let's have him on display.
Yeah.
like in the old West as a deterrent to a gunslinger.
Right.
But grandma looked great. They did it. I have to be honest, it was the best I've ever seen someone do.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to look at her, but someone said she looked so great, so I looked, and
She did.
She really did.
She looked like grandma. They did a phenomenal job. But we all look over and I go, Ray, why does she have that lip? So that's not grandma's lips.
Everyone was commenting on this to me. Everyone, my aunt, everyone was like, "That's not. It's like this weird coral color." And we've been seeing grandma wear this for years.
It's you. She wore it so much you forgot she had it on until it was gone, and then you're like, "Wait, how come she doesn't have a red lips on?"
Yeah, you knew she was sick if she didn't put that on
Right.
too. And for the record, she told the hospice nurse, if I have to crawl, I get my hair done at the beautician every Friday. And she did basically crawl that last Friday. The week before, she made me take her to get a manicure and a pedicure. Could barely walk. I had to help her get into the chair, and then they had to put her shoes on her and help her get out. But her toes and nails were done, and her hair got washed and curled that Friday. And then she went on Tuesday.
So in this viewing line, all the women are kind of what happens is everybody starts mentioning this.
Yeah.
And
About the lip
the
color?
girls
It was so out of the ordinary.
The girls kind of got together, and it was like when a bunch of girls start talking, I'm like, man, I go to 7th grade. I dance. I'm like,
what did I do?
I go, hey, go stand against the wall on that side.
I tell Miss Judy, who's childhood, longtime family friend, and she, I guess, tells the funeral director, because then I look up and he's in the doorway across from grandma looking at me, trying to get my attention, holding the lipstick like this, going like this. He found it. So I go, when you love someone, I was shocked at the things I found that I could do for my mom. I was even more surprised at things I did this time. It gets a little bit more rote
Right.
that you just expect you're going to do freaky things. And so I put her lips on her.
I was gonna ask, yeah.
I did.
She's there on display.
And
Fixed. Got it.
Yeah.
And then
asked my cousin to loosen her hair curls a little bit because they had kind of froed it up a little bit. And my cousin the next day texted me and said, I'm so scared of dead bodies. Nobody can believe I did that. But you told me. And
so she's putting lipstick on. Someone else is doing her hair in the guy.
And
I was like, this is so my life. Like, this is so exactly how this life's supposed to go for me.
Did you hear her voice while you were doing it? Like,
It looks a lot better now.
I
there was an honor,
knew that I didn't do it to be funny. I did it because I knew grandma was very practical.
Yeah.
She went full on lip kissed my grandfather in his coffin the night of the visitation. And when I said that to her in Scotland, she goes, he was my husband. I loved him. She just was practical. She went through the Depression, World War II.
Very pragmatic about stuff.
Very pragmatic. She would have said, fix my lipstick.
That's what I heard. That's what
Yeah.
we were. Here's how bad it was. It wasn't like, oh, let's just do it to be nice. I was kind of panicked about
Everyone,
it. I was like,
it was
no,
a big deal to her.
No.
Yeah.
Her hair, her lips,
Yeah.
her nails.
That really tracks for somebody who took you to go pick out a plot and look at the whole like.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's a way
I'm
that
gonna
this
be
is
here
going to be
soon, so-
done. Yeah. For people that haven't seen that bit, it's an Alpha Chick. You can watch it on Amazon. Or
Go to
a bunch of
Amazon
other
and watch
places.
Alpha Chick. Enjoy
But
this lady's
it
comedy.
has a picture at the end of her standing in front of her grave, Ken added to the end of it. And that's where she is now. But, well, she's in heaven, but that's where her body is. So then when no one was looking and I haven't told anyone this but him, I took Forever Scarlet and tucked it into her suit pocket and sent her home to Jesus with her lipstick.
That's awesome.
So she got buried.
She would like
with-
that. She would be like,
Yeah.
well, if I'm going to meet the King of Kings, I should have my lips right.
She would not have wanted
To give us a kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just you do things when you love people. I don't know.
I think it just again proves that love is more important than all of it because it's so funny when someone you love goes, all that other stuff disappears.
Yes.
All that, what are people thinking? What do I
Yeah.
look like? Am I going to be embarrassed?
Yeah.
All of
It all
that shit
falls
just
away.
goes, and it's and all there is that I love this person. and
Or
that's it.
I don't like, I don't know how to say it, but like bodily messes. I would never touch someone else's
fluids.
butt. Fluids.
That's the word. And by the way, and I've never heard the word so gross before.
But you do what you have to do to help that person maintain dignity, which is, it's very important and very hard for them to have at the end of their lives.
Yeah.
Everybody needs somebody that's going to help them
Maintain dignity. That's,
some
by the way,
modicum of dignity,
I like that. So, and the day I had just decided to sit watch. I was just going to sit watch, because I grabbed my computer that morning. I sat in the chair across from her where I used to sit, and we got her up that morning, and she was fairly lucid. I was really surprised at that morning. Weren't you?
She stayed somewhat lucid until the morning of her death.
Until like noon, and then she went to sleep, and then
That was it, yeah.
that was it. She got up with it the morning. We had breakfast. We fed her some oatmeal, which she didn't like. I got it, and then I was going to help her with a coffee, and she's like, "Nope, I got it." And she picked up this hot cup of coffee and was like, "I was like,
she
okay."
didn't have strength left, and
She was up and about that morning.
She had a chair thing.
Yes. Shay and I got her out of bed and helped her brush her hair.
I had to lift her in the chair.
And things like she couldn't stand up or lower down because her strength was going. But we helped her put on her robe, and she would sit on the seat of this walker we had gotten while we zipped up her robe. And she wanted her hair brushed. She was very particular about things still. And but her arms didn't have strength. And so she had a full cup of coffee. She wanted coffee. She never was able to drink a lot of it anymore. He tried to feed her or hold it up to her lips, and she went,
which is
because she had this relationship
whenever
with him.
I did something stupid with cards, it was exactly like she would give me. I'd do something stupid, or I beat her or something, and she just
because they had this like funny adversarial relationship, and it was kind of and they were both very independent with each other, and she was like telling him, "I don't need you to pick my coffee up," and she picked up that whole, I mean, I couldn't believe it. She hadn't been able to lift anything, and took a sip and put it down and ate a little bit of oatmeal.
Yeah.
And then
so I thought we had a couple weeks. I thought, okay, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
I think she was waiting until you got back too. When I came back, I was gone for a week. When I came here, did the podcast, did a couple shows, got different wash clothes, stuff like that, handled business, went back, and she didn't want me gone at all. She did not want me to leave. She was upset with me. And when I walked in, I leaned over and I said, "Hey, I told you I'd be back." And she said, "I know you did." And I waited. And then she smiled at me so big. And then she had asked, "When's Christopher coming back?" She had been asking that, like from the day you left the first time. And I was like, hello. No, really, when's Christopher coming back? And so you came back Monday night, and this was Tuesday that she went.
So basically Wednesday morning at 1:30. We've stayed all day Tuesday with her. Tell the story about what happened. You were there when it happened. I think I may have riffed it a little bit. She was on the porch outside. Like, this is, by the way.
Oh, you already told that?
I think I referenced. I think I said I'll let you do it. I thought about it, but I don't think I told it last week.
What story?
Well, he'll tell on me if I told it.
I need to go back and listen to that podcast.
So here's the thing about these extreme things, life, death, crazy accidents, and people have extra stories, like stories that seem supernatural, that are just odd. You know what I mean? Like stories. And I don't know if there's another world. I don't know if it's another
synchronicity
type
thing.
This is an area of like great fascination for me,
Yeah,
especially now again. But before we do that, I want to talk about that. But this episode brought to you by Athletic Greens.
Oh,
Athletic Greens. So when I came home, I take it every day. It makes a massive difference for me in many ways.
your stomach.
I started taking it for gut health, but it has really helped me throughout all of this with energy. Makes a big difference. Mood, support, everything I needed when I was there, because I was eating crap and drinking nonstop. So I took the whole bag there the last time I went back, and I left like half the bag in her pantry with the little bit of food my sister and I had left behind for ourselves, and panicked. I have some here, but it's like a high value product to me. So I called my sister. I said, please tell me that you took the Athletic Greens. And she was like, sure did. She took a bunch of stuff.
She probably hid it so you forgot it.
Totally. So I found a bunch of things today that she kept of mine and texted her about them. Like, did you? And she was like, yep, enjoying all of that.
So yesterday, I got back from the ski trip the day before, and yesterday I got up and I felt like, I don't know if it's from skiing or what, but I felt burnt. I was done.
Yeah.
And I was in the pantry and I didn't know what. And I grabbed, and the canister was in there. And I went in, I did a double scoop. And
which they don't recommend. You don't need that much.
Well, I'm a big guy.
Oh, God.
It's all in the head.
Thank
this
you.
Is what I always get.
Just how much? This is one scoop.
Alone.
This is one scoop.
This is what I always get emails like, can he stop telling people to take twice as much?
That's my life.
It's such a mental thing.
But if you would describe me, you go, it's
same
double.
liquid IV. I take 2. It's like everything is extra.
He's just double. But if one's good.
What did it do? Energy?
Instantly. So here's how well it worked. I was feeling so crappy. I was thinking of not coming in at my normal 4 o'clock. And I it was about 25 minutes, and I forgot that I felt bad. So it was one of those things where I wasn't like, I feel better. I just forgot that I felt bad. And I started going. It was
helps
great.
with immune system support. If you hate taking vitamins, I've stopped taking vitamins because this has everything in it.
Yep.
It's got 75 whole food source superfoods, vitamins, minerals, things like that are high quality. It makes a massive difference. And I was drinking there every night.
Every day.
By night, I mean day. And I would be like, is it time? Is it early enough?
To start drinking?
Noon? Does that count? I've fasted from alcohol for 8 hours. Is that okay? And so when I would get up and take this, it was like night and day difference. Energy boost, just overall feeling of well-being. This product is pretty amazing. So you just take 1 scoop, put it in a shaker bottle with water. It tastes like kind of a tropical taste. I was telling my sister this yesterday. She's been putting it in her smoothies.
That's something I noticed. I grabbed a 2 big glass of water. It was just easy. It's easy to drink.
It's easy. Yeah. It doesn't taste bad. And we use the vitamin D3 dropper, and I put 1 drop, and I have it every day. And this week too has made a big difference for me. I think you guys should try it. We're not just bullshitting you. If you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D, the dropper bottle that we have, and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/Titus. That's athleticgreens.com/Titus. Go check it out.
Entirely worth it.
I do it on an empty stomach because I have this strange idea that it's going to get where it needs to go more quickly. I made that up, but I do it in the morning before I've had anything.
It'll get where it needs to go. The massive amounts of depression drinking cured me of drinking.
Oh yeah, it'll do that.
I'm not. I've decided.
That's good. Congrats, man.
I've decided to stop drinking. I can have my next drink is when I have $5 million in the bank. I've decided that's my limit. That's how I can have my next drink. So it looks like I'm done drinking.
Dead. So this whole phenomenon to me of things that happen to people when they're transitioning. Grandma was transitioning for some time, and I knew it and I saw it happening. There are things that start to happen. And this is like one of those things. Remember, I wanted to do the children's book about death, because we don't know any of this. Nobody tells us any of this. I told him the other day, I have this whole idea for a monthly podcast on death and dying, but comedy, and have other comics or other
People
experts,
come in with their
hospice nurses, whatever, to tell their story. Everyone, if you've been through it, has a story. And it's crazy. So I met a nurse who was a hospice nurse in Denver, and she was telling me that she had a patient that was in a coma, came into the hospital to her in a coma, and woke up 3 weeks later and was kind of frantic and incoherent, rambling about these red slippers on the roof of the hospital. And it became so manic that this nurse got kind of freaked out. And so she told security, she goes, I don't know what's going on, but she won't stop talking about it. And so they went up to the roof to just check if something was weird up there. And in the corner of the roof were a pair of red slippers on the roof. And as the hospice nurse was telling me this girl at the IV place, remember, she goes, I got chills again. She goes, I can't, like, she's so freaked out by it. So there's so many things that we don't know. So people start to transition.
Who jumped off the roof and left their slippers?
Yeah, right.
Well, probably,
Dorothy?
I'm guessing a patient was up there or something.
And left their slippers on the roof?
I guess so.
But how weird is that this person came in a coma, never been on the roof, and knew there was red, and go get them. But the weird part is, why were you frantic about that? But okay.
She woke up from a coma just repeating it over and over and over and over again. So
it's creepy.
There's like certain things that happen when people start to transition. And when I first got there in February, I saw those things happening. And it was like, she had an inability. My grandma was an avid reader. She would read one, sometimes 2 books a day. She speed read. She also loved Hallmark and murder mystery, like Jessica Fletcher and stuff. And she had lost interest or the ability to do those things. And so like that was the beginning, like that happens.
That to me.
People, they slowly stop engaging in their lives.
Right. I didn't know this. You told me this when this and that. They stop the things they love, they don't care about anymore.
Because it doesn't matter anymore. They're already heading out. To use a technical term.
Can I get you anything?
By the way,
from the
I
afterlife?
like it. Where you go? I'm heading out. Hey, I'm not leaving right now.
I was gonna say
it's
something
like basically
more...
metaphorically just jingling your keys, existentially jingling your keys. Yeah. What are you doing? Get ready to go. Get ready to go. Hey, get my where's my jacket?
My
I
hat.
was gonna say something that sounded a little more too like, new agey. So
Anybody see my
out.
red shoes?
Hey.
Where are my red shoes?
My slippers. Anybody check? I think I left them on a roof.
So 2 days before Grandma passed away, she always loved to sit on her back porch, and she had a swing there, and my uncle had screened it in. And so
Great place to hang out.
I have hours and hours of memories sitting on that swing with her. I have video of it, just of our laps swinging, because the dogs would get in between us, and we would just sit out there and have our coffee every morning. She'd always go, "Hey bud, you ready to go?" And I'd go, "Yeah, I'll get my coffee," and we'd go sit on the
Hey
porch.
bud, she said.
Hey bud. And or sweet pea, she called me.
I had 3 haircuts out on the porch.
Petunia, sweet potato. So we would always sit out there. So she all of a sudden wanted to go out there. She's mobile-ish, but she's not super mobile. It's very slow. She's now using a walker. Her body is breaking down.
You have to hold her up if you're going to walk a little bit. Yeah.
You have to lower her into the swing and then lift her out. She's, she wanted to go out there. It was 38 degrees. And so I had pajamas on. And so I put on Uggs and a wool long overcoat and scarves and got blankets. And my sister sat out there with her for a little while. And then I came out and we sat out by ourselves. And I took pictures of it, actually. I have her just buried in blankets on the swing, tucked up to her neck. She doesn't notice how cold it is. And I started playing Keith Whitley, because Keith Whitley was one of hers and my papa's favorites. And
they wrote lyrics. So this love story between Grandma and Grandpa Bobby, they wrote down Papa. They wrote down lyrics. and they would go park.
No, she wrote
Their own
down
lyrics?
No,
No,
she
to the
wrote
song.
down the lyrics
To the song.
Till a Tear Becomes a Rose.
Right.
They didn't park.
Oh.
She would sit next to him on the bench seat of his truck, and they would drive around town on Friday night with his arm around her, and she had the lyrics so that they could sing along.
And sometimes they parked. Grandma said they would park and they would sing.
They would do more than park and sing.
It was,
She said that.
like a cruise, a little cruise through town
Yeah.
on Friday night. And so Till a Tear Becomes a Rose is, well, you're just kind of making it up.
No, I'm not. She told me. She
You
said-
did. You were making
She said
things up.
Bobby and I would sit down at parking and they would sing. Yes.
I don't think that's true. I think
When I
he's
started
making-
learning the other song, when I started learning Don't Close Your Eyes.
Well, he learned Don't Close Your Eyes.
Let's
and
don't listen to
Till
me.
a
I did
Tear
not. Let's don't be.
Becomes a
Let's
Rose
don't go.
for
I didn't
her.
learn it.
You did,
I bang clonked through it.
which she thought was
Bang,
even funnier.
bang.
She thought it was so sweet, and he was learning them for her. Her 2 songs with Papa is very sweet. So anyway, I'm playing that, and she has not at this point been very connected with anything around her. She's fading and transitioning, and so like I just played the greatest hits, and the 3rd song was Don't Close Your Eyes, and all of a sudden I hear next to me she's singing along. Her head is back on the swing. She's covered in blankets, and she's swinging lightly and she's singing along to herself. And the next song comes on. It's Till a Tear Becomes a Rose, which was their song. And she has her head back like this, and it's dark outside, and I had a candle going, and she sits up like this and opens her eyes really big and just smiles at the screen door. Such a big smile. And she goes, "Hey," like that.
Oh boy.
And I'm looking at the door, and she's so happy. And I look at her, and she goes, "It's Bobby. He's here to take me home." And I looked at her again, and then she kind of goes like this and realizes that it's me. And she goes, "Oh, I must have been dreaming, right?" And I said, "No, Grandma, you weren't dreaming." And she just laid her head back and got quiet again. It was like the craziest thing. But to see her come alive and light up because she was looking in his eyes, and it was like the craziest thing ever. And then she went.
How did you feel when that happened? Did you feel like something changed? Was it weird? Like, what's going on?
I felt like, what do you mean? I don't know. I felt like a little bit of peace that he was there waiting for.
When you told me this story, that's what I felt. I felt like, okay.
And then the hospice nurse, Natalie, who was just one of the most awesome people ever, one of the most selfless, like I said, you are in the right career. She lost her dad at 13 and went through it when she was young. And she is just like dedicated her life to just, even when I texted her at 2 a.m. to say Grandma's gone, she answered with a long text about who I was to my grandma. And I mean, she was just awesome. But she said she's ready. Just so you know, she goes, "I've seen people that aren't." She's ready to go. And she said, that should comfort you that she's seeing him. She said, that's a very
Totally
good sign. And she
100%.
said, a lot of people would love to have had that sign, you know? And so, and she went a day and a half after that.
Yeah, that was an interesting day, man. We got her in the chair, sit down. I was kind of talking to her. She wasn't really responding, but she would, she got up that morning. She said, "I need to tell you something." And I said, "What, Grandma?" And she said, "Oh man, I can't remember. I forgot." And
she would lose her train of thought. But
she's in her chair.
The whole like hospice thing, people also, there's a thing called a rally, which my mom did have. It's where people think that they're getting better. And some people, I've heard from this guy in Montana, his mom had been non-responsive, completely out of it, got out of bed and asked, "Hey guys, let's get a burger from whatever her favorite burger place was." People often think they're getting better. And then his mom died that night. She sat in the living room, talked to family, laughed, and died that night.
It was like last burst.
Totally.
So I got this happens. I've heard this exact story all the time. People have this moment
It's
of like
common knowledge with hospice nurses.
What is going on with the energy of humanity, of who
cool.
we are? What extra do we have that at the last moments of your life, you gather everybody together, you tell everybody what you want to, you're joyous with people, you're who they remember you as.
It's like you have this built-in like a last chance. This is your last chance.
I'm gonna give you a commercial of who I was, and then I gotta go.
Yeah. Let me just pop my head in.
Gotta head out.
Yeah, I gotta head out.
Yeah.
Jingle, jingle.
I don't know, but it's I honestly thought that hers, because Natalie said that she had seen it. Some people don't have it. And it's different for everyone. Sometimes it comes earlier. Sometimes it comes later, because I truly believed in February. I knew her so well. We were so close. I saw the change. I knew she was already transitioning slowly. And I believe that her rally happened when you came, of course. And she wasn't really able to do a lot at that time. She was in a lot of pain. We were just learning how to manage it.
A week and a half before.
Not before she passed.
And we played cards. No, I know. Like
it was before she passed away.
Are you talking about when I showed up the first week before I had to go to
play
Austin?
cards? She played cards 2 nights. I took pictures of them playing cards and making faces. She suddenly, I had been there for 2 weeks already, and she wasn't really talking a lot.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden she was laughing like we always did, joking, telling stories from her childhood. We were laughing about old jokes we had. And she taught him how to shuck oysters, because I ordered this big steamer pot, and it was awesome. And then that happened 2 nights. And the night after, we didn't even ask her, because we knew she couldn't anymore. It was like it just turned off.
What was weird is I showed up that week because then I had to go work and then I was gone for a week, had to go to a gig, and then I came back. And that week, man, I was like, she's going to be here for a couple months, because she was, because when I showed up, we played cards like we played cards.
Yeah. So she had a much longer.
But she said that she kept going, she hasn't been this person.
Yeah, no,
she has not been this person.
She rallied. She called me the week that she found out that the cancer was back and said, "Can you please ask Christopher to come?" And then she started crying like that. I can't bear the thought of never seeing him again. He was her buddy. Yeah. And so she was waiting for him to come. And I think for the three of us to be together again, because we were like...
We laughed. I said it in the Armageddon update. There's 2 times in my life where I laughed so hard I thought I was going to pass out. And they were both with Grandma. It was...
that first time my really scared me.
My grandma's on back and weenies. she would just innocently tell these stories.
It was the way her delivery, right?
Yes, she never was trying to be funny.
So we'll do the weenies, and then should we tell the?
Oh yeah, we got to tell the whole thing. Yeah, we have to now, because no one. There's
finally
nothing
tell
can
the
happen
truth.
Now.
Okay.
We have the best, probably the best joke.
Well, don't build it up.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny.
But the weenies thing was, she was here. It was the only time she got to visit our new house, and we were playing cards, and he was talking about childhood disappointments, and this was something obviously very upsetting to her. Mm-hmm. And she's dealing cards, putting cards down. She was 12. She said, "At my 12th birthday, my parents gave me a weenie roast, and nobody came." And we're just watching her.
And I'm like, oh, and then she pulls it out.
And then she goes, "Nobody came. We ate weenies for a week."
She said it happy. She goes, "But we ate weenies for a week."
And we lost it, because it was like, you go, "That's the upside." And she was looking at you so mad, because this has been an upsetting story her whole life. She's still not happy about it. And he is hysterical because but we had weenies for a week.
Because that was who she was. She would always find like
the upside.
Some horrible thing would happen, and she would go, "But," and she would.
Silver lining, yeah.
The other story happened at the Hillock house.
So this episode brought to you also by Butcher Box.
Oh, good company.
It is a good company.
We used them this way. I stole a bunch of stuff out of the home freezer and went to the cat. Me and Jet and I went snowboarding, and I took stuff and we cooked it.
Yes, you did. Uh-huh. And I got calls. So I took the chicken thighs, the Butcher Box chicken thighs.
Because I don't know if you're going to be mad if I took
tortilla lime chips, and I crunched those up. You gave me this whole play-by-play, and he breaded them with tortilla chips.
Crushed tortilla chips.
Wow.
And then baked it, right? Mm-hmm. With chicken thighs. Yep. And you used truff as the binder. What?
I used truff. I mixed truff in some avocado oil, and I mixed it all up, so there's a little bit of truff in there. And then I did all the chicken, and then I shake and bake them. I put the in the.
I don't know where he came up with it, but I was impressed. But
thank you, Instagram.
So that was Butcher Box, the chicken thighs. I love this company. I missed this company while I was gone because you cannot get stuff like this where I'm from in North Carolina.
Right.
They don't have this yet.
Oh yeah.
If I lived there, I would
don't
get
have
this.
that.
We don't have that. I would get it delivered, but it's high quality. You can tell the difference when you taste it. It's
Amen.
it's isn't it? It's like night and day.
Yeah,
Yep.
you can taste the difference for sure.
The salmon,
Oh,
the chicken breast, especially to me,
Even the ground beef. I mean, and the chicken breasts are by far the best chicken
it's
breasts I've ever
crazy.
had.
Yeah, not chemically tasting.
Nope. Very
Um,
dense.
yeah.
Those chickens worked out. Those chickens. So Butcher Box
Yeah.
must have a chicken gym.
So-
They must have some sort of chicken workout facility. Because those chickens are.
Actually, so it gets delivered right to your doorstep, which I love as well. You guys know, it's 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, pork is raised crate-free, and the seafood is wild caught. So it's just better for you, less scary.
No
for you.
downside.
Free shipping, always, and you can pick your box from ones they've already put together, or you can choose what you want to go in it, which I love. And it's very easy. Their website is very easy to navigate and pause and skip. And anyway, go look on their website because they have an insane amount of choices right now. I just looked the other day and it's growing. Every time I go back, it's even more stuff.
And keep checking in because sometimes they have special stuff. Make sure you check in on and get it because it goes fast.
They also added recipe. So you could have gone on there. Inspirations,
Go
guides,
get-
tips,
I'm going to
hacks.
give them recipes.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
First of all,
just submit that.
you crack up some lime chips.
So you can get free chicken nuggets for a year and 10% off your first box if you sign up today. That's a 22-ounce bag of gluten-free chicken nuggets, which is huge, in every order for a year. When you sign up at butcherbox.com/Titus and use promo code Titus, claim this deal at butcherbox.com/Titus, promo code Titus. It's a excellent quality product.
This story you need to set up a little bit because by the way, so at the end of Grandma's, it was getting near the end. We all knew someone had gotten her a gift, the book to fill out her life.
So it started in like 2011.
Oh, really?
2011 or started in 2012.
She
We
came out-
were playing cards
Cards.
at our old house.
And this is one of the times I almost died.
I have never, in all
I
the time I've
almost
known
died.
him, seen him laugh this hard, and he couldn't make it stop. And he was looking at me going like this and panicking, and Grandma was panicking, and it was because he couldn't make it stop, and his eyes were. It was like
you ever something that's so funny, and
He
the more
couldn't
you keep
breathe.
playing it, and I kept laughing again.
Rambo first fart.
so. We were talking about.
There you go. You and I. That's
We were
the
dying.
third time, by the way. That's top three. That Rambo first fart, top three.
That you guys were ridiculous.
Yeah.
You guys were
It hurt.
crying.
Yes.
But this was him. He was going, and his face was crazy. So we're playing cards. We're talking about grandmas. His relationship with Grandma was such that he had gotten Jet a fart gun, and
it was from
Minions.
Despicable Me.
Yeah.
Despicable Me. It was like, yeah.
So he went and got it one night and had it under the table. This was the same week. And whenever she'd get points, he'd pull it out and go, and her hair would blow back and she would just look at him.
And I put it down without looking at her.
So then later we were talking about grandmas. It was just the three of us. We're playing cards, having wine, laughing. And she said, it's the way she said things. She said, I love my grandma. She was a sweet lady. She was a humpback. And we,
Dude, I went. She just said it like with all the love in the world. She was a humpback, and
Her delivery is
But
killer.
here's the thing. So here's what made me laugh so hard. She said it as if it was a race of people. She said it as yeah, the man down the street, he's Japanese, and Grandma, she's a humpback. And I had this, and she said it so innocently. It was perfect, and I just kept playing it. And then she started getting mad because I burst out laughing. Well, she was, and then I'm on the floor. She was a humpback.
She's laughing because he's making her laugh. But then Grandma feels guilty because she feels like
I
we're
shouldn't
all
have said she was
laughing
a
at her.
humpback. And then I laughed harder.
The more she said humpback, the more he laughed. So, and then the more she felt guilty, but the more she'd laugh. And so So she
and
would
then
always,
once she knew that it made me laugh, she would go, well, she was a humpback. So she kept doing it. And
so over the years, this has come up a lot where every time we're together again, even in Scotland in August, because she flew to Scotland by herself on a red eye just last August, got on a plane at midnight in DC and flew to Scotland. Yeah. She kept living. That's the point of this podcast.
Yeah.
When I canceled her Amazon account in February, after she knew she had pre-ordered books for July, she made me take her to get a bedspread for her new bed. 3 different bedspreads, and I had to take 2 of them back because she wanted the right one. I mean, she
this is a couple weeks before she
kept
died.
putting 1 foot forward no matter what, because as she always said, you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And so anyway, so it's an ongoing joke. We laugh again about it
Grandma
in
was a
Scotland.
humpback, right?
Grandma was a humpback. You shame on you. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
she'd
yeah.
say to him. Shame on you.
Because sometimes I would just say it. She would be like, growing up was different. I go, it had to be when your grandma was a humpback. And she'd be like, I shouldn't have said that. Yeah. Like, this went on for a decade.
Then she took me to the grave site where hers is, and where that she said, that's my grandma. And I said, the humpback? And she looked at me and I said, how'd they put her in a coffin?
It's a big jar.
custom.
They buried in a
Shame
barrel.
on you. So it's been an ongoing thing where we had a different relationship with grandma than anyone, where we really were way more edgy with her than anyone was
She had a lot
allowed
of fun
to be.
with us. We were buddies.
We
with
got
her.
away with a lot, and she was a little looser with us.
Right.
And so we had this fun relationship. And anyway, so a year ago, not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before, my cousin's wife, she's my cousin too, Melissa, got my grandma this really cool gift from this company called Story something, I forget, but basically it was a way to get grandma's memories in a book. And every week grandma would get an email with a question, and she would type a long answer, and that would become a chapter in the book. At the end of the year, the book gets bound and you put a picture on it.
What
and
was
you
your
send
best?
it.
What was your best relationship? What was your
Yeah.
best job?
Where
that's
did you
cool.
grow up? What was your who were your parents? What were they like?
And then
Stuff like that.
Then you read a couple paragraphs about it, and then they would save that to archive it. So when the book came out, when you got done with all the questions, they would send you a book. Yeah.
So grandma, I was tech support. I said that in my comedy special. I really was. And so I was in all of her accounts all the time because she was always getting locked out. And she had told me that it had actually become burdensome. It felt like homework. She's getting these questions and she's not big on typing. She was a numbers person. And so she was like, I don't always answer them because it's
That's
hard
one of the
work.
chapters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm in her email.
Pass. She's wrote pass.
I'm
about
tired.
about a year ago, because she was writing like 4 or 5 paragraph answers to these things. I'm in her email about a year ago, and there is an email from this company, Storyworth, I think, something like that. And I'm sitting next to her in her recliner, and I open the email, and the question is, do you have any particularly vivid memories of your grandparents? So I
Here it comes.
Oh man.
decide I love long jokes. I like payoff much better. I type from her email, my grandma was a humpback,
It
Period.
sends it to the company.
and hit send.
Oh, it's in there. It's permanent.
I hit send.
Nice.
I forgot about it. I thought that Melissa would see it and be like, well, that's not like the other chapters. That's weird.
Yeah,
That's,
every other chapter is 3-4 paragraphs.
they're
This
like
is one line.
chapters. You turn pages.
And there's a nice heading. Like the question is really like and done this like Shakespearean font.
Well,
Yeah.
you don't know that yet.
And this one's
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
punchline.
So I forgot about it and went on about my life. But boy, when I hit send that night in that recliner, I was hysterically giggling to myself because I just thought that was the funniest thing ever. And so I forgot about it, not ever thinking anything would happen with it. Well, my grandma is dying February 2023. And Melissa, I guess, decides that she should go ahead and have that book made. I didn't know this yet, but so that we could all have something to hold to tell us grandma's life
Yeah.
story. So the pastor, grandma's pastor, comes to the door one night and hands me a package that was on the front doorstep. And I'm like, oh, what is this? And so I tear it open. He's starting to talk to grandma. And I see on the cover of this book a picture of grandma. And it says, My Life Story by Jean Lawrence. And inside I think, oh no.
Uh-oh.
Part of you wasn't, oh no. Part of you was like, did they? You were like, did they?
Hurry, what page is that on?
So I'm trying to act natural with the pastor there. And I kind of slide out and go into the kitchen and tear the plastic wrap off of it. And I open and I'm flipping through the book. I'm flipping. And the way that they did it, I'll send you pictures to show. Like I took pictures of the pages. Like the first letter, like a fable book.
Yep.
The first letter is a very ornate T, and then the chapter follows. And it's like grandma's life story. You know, this, I grew up in New Bern and it was the Depression and da-da-da. Yeah. And then you flip the page to page 27 and it says, in large print, do you have any particularly vivid memories of your grandparents? And underneath,
simply
on a full empty page, it says, my grandma was a humpback. Period. Turn the page. I am in the kitchen. I am hysterical. There's a window over the sink. The pastor is kind of looking in. I am shaking, laughing.
It's one of those laughter. It's so bad she can't stop.
I can't control it.
The pastor is sitting in the living room looking at her, and she can't stop laughing.
He brought Grandma Olive Garden chicken soup. I drop it. I'm shaking so hard. It's one of those plastic tubs. I drop it. It shoots up. It goes all over the place. It's all burned me all over my arms. I am hysterical. And he just keeps kind of looking in and then going back to Grandma. I'm sure he thinks I had completely lost my mind. I'm trying to maintain. I go and I sit down. I get through that. I go in the back bedroom and I call him. I laughed so hard. I was crying. You and I were hysterical.
She could barely get at what happened. And then I went, as she's getting it, I go, oh no.
I mean, perfect.
And she goes, it says, hey, my grandma was a humpback. And I almost crashed. So we're thousands of miles apart, hysterically laughing in honor of grandma, really. It was her thing. And so we get there and so we decide.
But the thing is, nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
I still haven't told them. They'll know after this probably because one person that hates me listens to this for some reason. And anyway, so
she did say it though.
She did say
oh yeah. Oh
100%.
no. And it's been our private joke for years, the three of us. And so we just left the book out. And my Aunt Mary Lou came that week I was gone. And so I left it there because that was also her grandma. And then my sister's husband comes and he reads through it and he's like, well, chapter 7 is particularly interesting. I didn't even tell my sister. I just want to watch it happen. I just want to watch people's reactions because the whole family is getting this book at this very emotional time to remember grandma, and they're all turning to page 27.
And by the way, you'd literally see, and you could see them physically react, but they wouldn't say anything.
Yes.
They'd be like, oh.
God, what if it had like an illustration?
They'd be like and then they'd go to
the... Who was it? Oh, Chris said, have you guys seen page 27? I mean, it was like there was this conversation going on around the family. And so now my aunt took that one home. Melissa said she was going to send the other people in the family their copies. So now everybody is going to have a copy of grandma's. And I don't think I've ever laughed that hard.
The cool thing was that we couldn't take it. At one point it was coming. We were like just watching people read, like Ray would watch people read the book, like,
that's amazing.
And we finally told her sister and her husband, and her sister, because they're all sick.
My sister laughed so hard.
So I have to give you credit for like probably the best long form punchline I've ever seen in my life. It's so awesome.
Yeah, and getting that in there, now it's permanent.
Forever. It's in grandma's life history.
Okay, I can tell you, I'm not afraid of death anymore. After being with grandma, I'm not afraid of it. I read a bunch of stuff was going on. She was doing the death rattle, and I was sitting, and she's in her chair where she always was, and I read about it. I was like, because she's in pain. I started to panic, because it's a weird noise, and I read about it, and it said that they don't feel anything. It's just.
Well, she didn't feel anything because I was giving her morphine every 2 hours.
True, that's true.
But
Thank you, morphine.
Yeah, but you, she, like, this whole process took 2 months, but the really bad part was very quick.
Yep.
And
You
they
even said that.
Grandma was all about her bed. Grandma never had a problem sleeping. Never. She would go to bed and sleep solidly for 8 hours forever. She had just gotten a new sleep number bed 4 weeks before, and the bedspread and everything. So they brought the hospital bed in that day. And I didn't say
That
anything
morning,
to her.
they brought the hospital bed into the kitchen and they set it up. Like, this is
In
literally
the dining room. Yeah.
the
We
night-
weren't going to put her in the kitchen.
It's so interesting
It
that
was,
she.
it was a dining room, wasn't it? I'm sorry. We weren't going to put her in the kitchen. Dining room.
Well, the dining room is part of the living room.
Yeah.
And so we wanted her to
Yeah.
be in the living
With
room with
us.
everyone. But I was really panicking because I knew that would really upset her, because her bed is very important. And every night we had been helping
Plus
her
her room.
get
Yeah.
to her place. Grandma was always very independent and did things the way she did them. And so, but my sister and I, it was becoming more difficult that last week, but we would get her into bed. And the nurse told me that day, she said, because she had taken on so much water, you get ascites in your stomach. And she was holding like 15 pounds of water and had stopped being able to swallow around 1 or 2 that day, aspirated water
Went from
that I gave
drinking
her.
coffee in the morning,
Yeah.
kind of looking at me like, don't help me. And then we got her in the chair. And then by this time,
She wanted water,
That's crazy.
and I put a little in a straw because I knew that was coming, and I put it in her mouth, and she aspirated it, choked on it. So that was the moment she was no longer able to swallow. And then I was very worried. Well, the nurse said, you can't really move her a lot back and forth to her bed anymore because she could have respiratory failure or cardiac arrest because of all the water.
and at
and-
this point, I'm like, okay.
No,
It
because
was-
she would suffer more and you would feel responsible.
Yeah, well, I don't
Yeah.
want her to. Well, we had started praying that she didn't suffer. This woman was such a good human being to deserve. Can I say this before we go any further? She asked Ray, she said, hey, make sure they don't take me out of this house. I want to be in my house when I go.
Yeah.
And this was a long time ago she said this.
She's
Because
like about
somebody
4 or
was
5
talking
years
about,
ago.
one of the person in the family was talking about possibly getting her home, get you a nice place
Well,
to stay.
she was having a surgery, and they said she could recuperate in a nursing
And-
home. And
and-
instead, I flew out and stayed with her
right.
that 2 weeks.
And she was like, promise me. And so you
She-
honored her and kept your word. You're a badass.
well, I was determined.
That's right. That's what I'm
And
saying.
I kept having to repeat that to people because they were like, maybe we should move her to the hospice house. And
Oh,
I
no.
was like, nope.
Nope.
She told you her wishes, and she's going to stay here.
And we're
barring
here.
Any other
Yeah.
emergency.
And she got new bedding and a new bed, and she's like, "This is where I'm going to go."
She
That's
she
it.
decided.
She's not leaving her house. I mean,
Nope.
that
Yeah.
nobody wants to be. My mom didn't want to be. I got my mom home too. She didn't want to be in a hospital.
Yeah.
And it's scary, you know? And so, anyway, I knew that hospital bed all day was sitting there, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be really hard. And also, grandma liked a firm bed, and she had her sleep number on 100, the highest you could put it on. So,
It's actually like sleeping on a Bosu ball that
Yeah.
in the gym. It's just like, this is nuts. I like it like this.
and we know how grandma is, and we went and pushed on that hospital
Yeah, no
mattress,
way.
and we were like,
Too mushy.
And
It was like a
Yeah.
spongy, like
Yeah.
for the kitchen.
it was like she knew too. She must have seen that bed.
I'm not getting in
and
that.
thought,
I'm out.
I'm out. And so aspirated around 1 or 2. Then you were sitting there with Brian. I noticed that her breathing had slowed.
Well, I came in and I
like
go,
10 seconds in between
I said,
each
Ray,
breath.
I think something. And then you came out and you watched her and you go. She says,
No, you were talking to Brian.
"Well, I said
And
something
I
to you
said,
first, though."
guys.
You said, I think this is. I've never seen it happen this fast." What you said.
But when the actual breathing stopped before I put her on oxygen, I was watching, I was listening to you guys, worried you were about to have a political argument, and listening to her. And all of a sudden, she stopped breathing, and I counted in like 10 seconds. And then I said, guys, listen to this. And so I put her on oxygen, called Natalie, the hospice nurse, talked to her for a long time. And I started giving her a bunch of different medications, like 4 different medications, even Haldol, which is,
Yeah, you were on the phone with the nurse for a long time.
yeah. And
You handled it really, like
rotating her through medications
Mhm.
for the secretions, everything. Death rattle started at like 7.
Well, I remember you said I
Or
came
later.
in. You were with your sister, and I said I think something's going. I think it's getting bad. And then you called the family. Then everybody called the family. This was so beautiful, man. I got to be honest with you. So Ray gets everybody on the phone. Next thing I know, everybody shows up. They gather around her. She's got her head back. She's sleeping. She's out. They're singing hymns around her. My grandma loved this.
Yeah.
And then everybody asked for a moment where they had their you and your sister both had a moment where I kept whispering in her ear. I was telling her stuff all day, but we all left and everybody had their moment to tell grandma what to do.
Yep.
And then I called Philip, her other son, and I said, hey, he's in New York. And I said, hey, this is happening. And I said, do you want to talk to her? And he was like, oh, that'd be great. So I held the phone up to her ear and I had to listen. It was so beautiful. It was just, there's a lot of history. Every family has history. Every family has a bunch of drama that happened. And what he said to her was so heart-wrenchingly beautiful. I'm not going to share it because it's personal, but, and to the point where at one point she hadn't moved in hours and she went, and her eyes kind of opened and Liz said, oh my God.
My cousin said that her eyebrows shot up.
She was listening to
He was forgiving her for everything. And as he said, not forgiving because that's not his right, but telling her
it's okay.
It was all okay. Yeah.
Yeah. He's happy. He got to know her and stuff. And so then, and then I decided, I'm going to stay up. I'm just going to, everybody, Michael, her son slept in the chair next to her. We were all kind of hanging around, and this is what I really got. It's weird.
I hate that we're only talking about her death. I wish we could talk about.
Oh, we're going to talk about her life too. I just want to see how what happened was I wish for a death like this.
Yeah.
My dad died alone in his bed. I wish for my family to be around me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were.
Yeah.
And about 1:30, again, this happened with Mom too. So I'm staying up. Michael's already asleep. I'm on my computer. It's 1:00 in the morning. I'm like, I'm staying up. They're in the bedroom. Her and her sister are going or looking at purses because there's no way she's going tonight. It's not happening.
Right.
We didn't go to look at purses. My sister and I decided it was like 1 a.m. and we went to open a package. And we didn't want to be noisy like with her because when you get to that state, noises agitate you because your hearing is so heightened. So we went into the bedroom for like 15, 20 minutes. You decided to take a shower and that's when she decided to go. And when my mom did that, I thought, no, I just missed it. I beat myself up I went to bed right next to her and fell asleep.
Yeah.
She waited. Within 20 minutes of me going to bed, my mom passed away. Yeah. And
once everybody's out of the room, Grandma went like,
okay. He came in and told my sister and me, I think she's gone. And we were both like, you idiot.
Yeah,
she's not moron. Gone. You Nimrod. And we were teasing him as we were walking out. We're all exhausted and but teasing him like, she's probably fine. And I went, and took her pulse and she was gone. And I said, Michael, wake up. And he shot up. And she waited. And so that's now happened twice.
But I think if I would go, I think about it. I think about the honoring the family by being like, I don't want anyone to be here when I go. It's not fair to them.
Right. They don't want to feel that.
Yeah.
I don't want to give you that gift.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what my mom always said. I didn't come here so I could die in front of you.
There you go.
I'm your mother.
That's how
I don't do that to you, And so it was very interesting that happened again, wasn't it? Yeah. And the service was it was great. And the guy did a great job. And the procession then to the cemetery, my cousin's husband is a state trooper. And so state troopers were relaying around the funeral procession. One would wait for us, stop traffic, and they would hold their hats. They don't do that here in the South. My uncle was like, do they do this?
Yeah.
And
can't
hold their
shut down New York
hats
City.
over their badge, and then once we passed that guy, he would get in his car and come back. It was like a really cool thing that they did.
When I think that, people, everybody who has someone close to them who they love and they die, they all have stories. But I think people don't quite understand what a badass grandma was. You got to remember, at a time when women weren't held up as a capable, competent, and could handle stuff, they made her like the lead accountant at Cherry Point Marine Base. Yeah, like and she was a badass. She wasn't the head accountant. She was the chief budget officer. So I'm sorry.
She was a GS 14 or 15.
Which is like a colonel or something?
Civil service. She was running a Marine-based Cherry Point, which is massive, hundreds of millions of dollars, managing their budget. She was the first woman to ever do that.
Wow.
And hired a black guy who was the first black person to ever work on that team. So
she's just breaking down barriers left and right.
Then retired from that after many years and went back to school, got more education to become an accountant at H&R Block for fun. And at the same time, she was volunteering at the hospital, and we found her pins, 1,000 hours of volunteer service at the hospital, 5,000 hours of, it's insane. And
then when she was 82, I want to learn the banjo.
Yeah.
And she took up the
banjo. Really? Yeah. She started driving the lessons.
It sounds like I made that up. Oh, no. She started driving to banjo lessons.
Yeah.
And now I code websites. And now I'm going to do.
And she would go to the gym every morning.
Yeah.
And she taught me about flossing. Not that I'd never floss, but she did it after every meal.
Every meal. And so at 89, she still had all of her teeth.
Yeah.
Was not missing a tooth. And I will say, though, that she and my grandfather, like after meals at a restaurant, one time in New Orleans, were in between parked cars. So maybe you could do it in the bathroom.
Yeah, there is a point where I can wait another minute and a half.
But she would floss after every meal or use one of those flossing pick things.
She was my grandma, and she is my grandma, and I miss her and I love her. And thanks for letting us go through this today, guys. We wanted to. I was trying to write about. I wasn't going to write about school shootings again because we've done it. There's nothing more to say.
I've never seen you be more. You were very gentle with my mom and loved my mom, but grandma got away with a lot more. You really were not as forgiving with my mom. With grandma, it was like I never had to worry about her visiting. She would stay a week, 2 weeks. He was always happy. He gets tired of every house guest. He never got tired of grandma.
That's a big compliment.
He always wanted me to be able to go be with her and spend time. It was like that. She was your person. So
she was, so funny. Someone who gives, I think it's a great lesson for me. It's a great lesson. If you think your life is going sideways, if you're upset with your life, she's total proof of go help somebody else. If you my life sucks. My life, everything's shit. I don't have any money. I'm this, I'm that. Get off your ass and go find somebody to help. Because what happens is you instantly, and she's taught me this, it changes everything. Where all of a sudden your problems stop being problems and this person's problems become, oh my God, let me help out. And then you leave the next day knowing you accomplished something no matter how shitty your life is. And I think
she took on so many people.
Oh my gosh.
Like one of her best friends passed away, left a daughter with cognitive disability who had an aneurysm. Grandma took her on. That person was destroyed when she lost. Grandma was all she had. Yeah. She had a cul-de-sac and they were all best friends. They all looked after each other. One guy would always put grandma's garbage cans back up by the door. And everyone that we talked to, they would all help each other, but they said, oh, I met Jean before I moved in. We were just over here looking at the property to start building, and she brought us cookies.
Yeah.
And
how you guys doing? Welcome to the neighborhood. Here's some cookies.
So you'd waddle over there. Miss Glenda across the street, who became a very good friend, moved in, and within 1 week of moving in, had major back surgery. Her husband said, Grandma called and said, what time can I bring dinner? The night of her surgery. And he goes, no. He's very picky. We don't know you. And he said she showed up at 5 p.m. with country fried steak, green beans, mashed potatoes, and a chocolate almond pie. He goes, I never told her I wasn't taking food again. But
after he ate the food, he's like, we got to be sick more.
But that was the first time they met her. She heard that Miss Glenda was having surgery. That's how she was. Miss Debbie next door, who was a nurse and would work late hours, we'd go out to eat, or even when I wasn't there, Grandma would cut her meal at Olive Garden in half, have them box it, take it home, call Miss Debbie and say, I got your dinner. You want to come pick it up? If she cooked, she made extra for everybody. It was like, it's really...
She was exactly, as I said at the funeral, I said, It's the definition of what the word grandma
Yeah.
means. You and I don't know the word. You and I don't. Our lives. You and I don't have that life where we're like we understand what these people are. So we've read it in books. I understand in movies, Christmas movies, what grandma's supposed to mean.
A lot of times when people pass away, you have to like think of what
to make
nice
stuff
things
up.
can I
Oh.
say
Let's just be
about
honest.
this person.
You have to make stuff up.
There
in our
was
family,
so
you gotta
much to say
find
about
it.
her. Oh
there's
my gosh.
There's so much.
I said this in the pulpit because I was preaching.
in your
s-
red leopard dress.
which would be how it would go. I said that my favorite quote is when Gandhi was asked what his message is. What do you want to tell people and leave behind? And he just said, my life is my message. And that makes me think of her. Strong,
And that's how we got
interfaith.
intermittent fasting, by the way.
strong Christian, but wasn't always going up to people going, I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
She was just lived this
Walked
life of service and what we all expect, not what we're so much hearing in the media anymore as tied to people that say that they're, people of faith. And definitely, I said this too, and this is the honest to God truth. I told my grandma, because I watched her with everyone. And I told her, I said, I'm inspired by you and I want to be more like you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to start doing that and noticing where I can help people. And so I started doing grandma things like when my friends had surgery, I would send them dinner or, whatever, just showing up, driving people to things, picking whatever. So I had
when anybody we had someone's family member died, and we're like, well, let's hook them up. She goes, let's get them. We had points, so we got them a hotel room because their family couldn't. We just
doing what grandma
take care.
done.
Yeah, what would grandma do?
So I had surgery last July, and that was all because of grandma. I just was thinking, what would she do? And I wanted to be more like that and help people, and so I started doing it because of her. And when I had my surgery in July, I said this at her service. I got so much food and wine
People
and
took care of us,
champagne. Two different people showed up to sit with me to eat, bring me dinner and eat dinner with me. I got a basket full. I mean, it was an embarrassment of riches that showed up. And I said, that's what love does. It heals and then it multiplies. And that those people here in California who are suddenly doing the very Southern thing of showing up with food because I had surgery have no idea that it's because of this little 5'4"
tiny lady
bundle of love.
Yeah. So you got the disease of service, like I like even on the street now with homeless people, I'm just generous. It's different now. It's not going to hurt me. It's so funny. I think sometimes you think grandma showed me that when you help people, you're not draining yourself, you're filling yourself up.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening, and we saw it with Rae, is that people just show up.
They turn around and do it for other people.
Yeah. And even if they do it out of guilt, they did it for me, I guess I got to. I'm fine with that.
I'm sure.
I'm fine with you doing it out of have to. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. And I wasn't doing it because I was a
I
good
know you
person.
weren't.
I was doing it because grandma did it. And I was like, oh, she's a better person than I am.
That's
I
how
need to be
feel
a better
too.
person.
Like I'm horrible.
Yeah.
Sometimes grandma made you feel,
we don't know any of our neighbors.
No, I know George. Because I was trying to hide stuff in his garbage can
And he
one night, and he
caught
caught me, and I was like, "Hey, George, if you ever put something in my garbage can, go ahead and put it in my garbage can. Hi, we're neighbors. How you doing? Hey, if you're ever thinking, oh, sorry."
But so I've
Somebody
been
brought me all this
thinking,
food. I don't know what it is.
like this whole thing with grandma, I've been thinking like we should maybe write a letter and put it in just our immediate
me
neighbor's
too.
mailbox. Except then we're the weirdos. We're the creepy weirdos that everyone like. So how do we do it? Could we put that? Hey, we don't want to
we're
be the creeps, but
we're comedians. We'll just write a funny letter and go, guys, we're here. We want you to know. We'll do it like that. So when you read it, you're like, oh, these people seem all right.
Yeah.
we just got to write it not serial killery.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, okay. We don't. Okay, so here's what we'll do. Hey guys, I want where
Tell me when you're not home.
Where your neighbors across it.
It's not all cut out letters.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like a ransom note.
Well, we may want to do that because I don't want them to track us. But and we
P.S. Don't show up unannounced.
Guys, we're your neighbors across the street. You ever need anything? We're always watching. Don't want to put that. We're not sending that one.
Okay.
By the way, our lights are set to go off when your house moves. So if anybody moves in your house, I know that's a light across the street. It's our Ring camera aimed in your front living room
I'm
window.
sorry?
We
What?
just want to make sure you're okay.
We're here for you.
All the time. And by the way, we don't like the drapes or the color of your couch.
That's right.
Are we good?
Yeah, I
You know
just want to do some. I've been thinking about that.
Okay.
Community. We talk about
I
it a
think
lot.
so. Well, because that cul-de-sac was, it's funny, when all these people come to the cul-de-sac and she's gone and we're meeting everybody again, and there's some great people in our cul-de-sac, and they all came in, they talked about how this cul-de-sac, grandma kind of was a nucleus of it. She was kind of the center point of it. And because she would do the food thing, everybody became like this. And I thought, oh, when Armageddon happens, you're going to want that cul-de-sac to hold its ground.
Yep.
There's going to be a bunch of people to cover everybody's ass. And that's what we need to do.
But
We need to build our own Armageddon crew on our little street.
We would need to make it, to skew it to Armageddon. But then as she got older, people were looking out for her. You know, they were always checking in on her, making
And
sure she
fiercely
didn't
looking
need,
out
or
for
they
her.
would see something wrong on her house and come over and fix it, or you know what I mean?
Or
It
if
was
somebody
like-
showed up, that was weird. They're like, I don't recognize that car. Hey, how you doing, Gene? Yeah.
We need people.
We're doing
'cause
that.
We're gone a lot.
Right. Guys, I want to say one more thing before we go. So the one thing I really got was, and it was the reaction that everybody else showed up. Ray and I hung out with Grandma, and it was such a fun time. I never saw Grandmother ever as an old lady, not one time. She was always motoring. She was always full out. We were always laughing. She was hip. She was cool. She was never behind the times unless you mess with her iPad. If something got off on her iPad, it was crazy. Those people in your life, you all have grandparents, older people in your life that you have kind of, I'm not saying you have, but we all do this. This is the thing. You marginalize them because you've had their time with them. You're older, you're busy, and they're home by themselves. Go talk to them. Ask them about their lives. You're going to hear stories that you're going to be shocked at. The stories that we know that the rest of the family doesn't know are the funniest, most interesting. You don't get what you got to remember. These people survived way more than we have. You know, these wars, they've been through diseases like, you know, we're getting it now, I guess, but they've been through like technology going from nothing to holy crap. Now we're going to space all the time.
You're fine.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. Quit whining. Go talk to them. Your life, you will be way more interesting to everybody else if you go talk to these people.
When I said I love old people, I really meant that.
Yeah, man.
She was my favorite person. You never knew what was going to come out of her mouth. And the stories that she had, I mean.
And practical advice. I
Yeah.
mean, two things I hold on to all the time is don't borrow trouble. I say it to you all the time now because you borrow trouble a lot. And the other one is tomorrow's another day.
He's so nice.
Tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's another day. And I think those two things have made me a better person. Thank you for Grandma, babe. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for fun facts with the Highlander.
Let's switch to fun.
Highlanders, fun facts. Highlanders, fun facts. It's Highlanders, fun facts.
That was, hey, that's,
I was angry.
That
getting
was
better.
the better.
The better of it. All right.
And we still
He
get
just
drunk.
watches you trying to like figure out where you're going to go.
I don't like. Here's the problem. When I look at him, it's worse. If I just stay focused and just do what I'm going to do,
I'll follow
he's a musician. He'll be like, all right, let me keep
Yeah.
it with the idiot.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of life, having a long life.
Okay.
Should I do it in trivia form? That's what we've been doing lately.
Yep.
Sure.
How long in a person's life do you feel that they spend sitting at a traffic light?
Oh man.
The average person.
Okay.
Is this hours? Minutes?
However you want to.
Okay. All right. Let me figure it out. So the average person, their entire life.
Throughout their entire life.
Okay. So
At a traffic light.
That's a lot.
It probably spiked with the Priuses when
Yeah,
they hit the
definitely. Oh, yeah, my
market.
God.
78 days.
Hold on. Let me finish. Wait. Man, I'm gonna go low. We're gonna play Price is Right rules. I'm gonna go 52 days.
Wow. It's lower than that, which is
Okay.
surprising because we live here, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we live in Los
I
Angeles.
tried
Yeah,
to overshoot.
They have extra stoplights here.
Yeah.
They've added stoplights in there. There's like I'm like there's no cross street. There's just a light here.
Everyone
on Ventura, there's two places where there's just stoplights and
In
there's
the
no
middle.
cross street.
Exactly. It's in the middle of
Yeah.
the road. Why is
Yeah.
there's nothing here to
Yeah.
Shopping.
It is 2 weeks. It must be like a day for other people in the country because ours is got to be months.
2 weeks. I feel better about that. Then I should stop running.
That's
them.
not as bad.
'Cause
Oh
I'll do
my
that.
gosh.
I'll do the sit at the red, and if I look this way and I don't see anybody for a couple miles, and I look this way and I'm like, I'm going.
I got this.
Yeah. Hey, Poochie. Poochie said podcast over.
His hair is so
Poochie
crazy.
said podcast over. It's not Poochie.
So we've just vented. Thank you for the therapy.
Guys, I want to thank you so much. But again, I think the point of this is this woman was one of the most interesting people I've ever met. And we unlocked so much cool stuff that we didn't know about her. So do me a favor, get involved with the elderly people in your life. You are going to be stunned, and they will accidentally drop some wisdom that will literally change your life. You'll be like Grandma would say things, I'm like, I didn't even think of it like that.
Yeah.
And she'd been here longer and she
had been through so much.
Yes, and was still going, motoring. Let's motor.
Had lost the love of her life, 57-year marriage.
Picked herself up and kept moving.
Lived another 13 years after that.
Yeah.
I love that lyric thing. That's so romantic. That's really a nice.
Yeah.
My ex had Indigo Girls lyrics, and it didn't.
And L7.
Yeah, and
L7 and Indigo Girls. She went to
Lilith
Lilith
Fair.
Fair. Yeah.
He's you know what? Here, let me see. Tomorrow's a new day. Just
Okay.
Guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Go to Christopher Titus TV on YouTube for all my comedy specials. They're up there for free. I'm not sure what's going to, there's a couple things I want to update you on. On the 29th, though, of April, right?
almost this month.
Yeah.
Well, by the time this
It's
comes
a
out,
month. Yeah.
A month from now, we are going to do our
I think it's our fourth. It might be our
fourth
fifth.
Titus and Bradley sketch show. And we are going to be putting up all the ones from the other ones this whole month. It'll be a live stream, and you guys will come see it. We'll figure, and Ray's going to put that up ASAP. Also, if you want to go see me, we're on the 21st and 22nd. I'm playing in
Funny
New
Bone
York,
in
Funny
New York,
Bone
Syracuse,
in
and
Syracuse
Albany.
and Albany. So get those tickets, guys. The new show, Carrie Monsters, is the best. And
Albany, April 21st, Syracuse, April 22nd. 2 shows both nights. Usually we only do 1 show, but they always sell out, so we're doing 2. So Friday, 2 shows in Albany, Saturday, 2 shows in Syracuse. The very next week, Richmond, 1 night only, as usual, and then Virginia Beach, the 26th and
Wednesday and
27th,
Thursday.
1 show each night. We added a show there as well.
And then the 29th, we're going to be doing the sketch show. And you guys want to see it. The sketches are, as always, a little bit wrong. Guys, thanks for listening. And by the way, I want to thank everybody else who helped. Miss Judy, who without
It's an
Miss Judy,
angel.
we had someone show up at it's just chaos. When someone dies, it's chaos.
It's fine. Let's.
I just want to say thank you to Miss Judy
She's
for
not
everything she
listening.
did for us. She doesn't listen to podcasts?
Heck no.
Why?
Heck no.
Why not?
Mm-mm.
Well,
Oh,
we
really?
will send it.
No.
All right, for myself, the lovely Bombshell Rae and the Hylinder. Later.
Peace out.
There could be only one.